This week from GNC Week in Review, powered by GeekNewsCentral.com. Apple is now worth $2 trillion. 3 billion people are gamers, and who wants a new Blackberry? Those are some of the tech news from this week, and it's wow. And I get the music putting in for the intro, and I just totally messed up my own intro.
It happens.
Those are some of the tech news stories from this week, and it's Friday, August 21st, 2020. My name is Kirk Corliss, along with
Scott Ertz.
And this episode 67 of the GNC Week in Review podcast, part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. We are streaming live at gncweekly.com/live, as well as Facebook Live. Oh my goodness. So please be sure to say hello in chat or comment. Also be sure to like and subscribe to the GNC WIR channel on YouTube. If you missed the live video, that's okay. You can always catch the replay later. If you are a listener, please be sure to subscribe to podcasts we can find in the right-hand side column at gncweekly.com, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, your favorite podcast app. If you have a comment, be on social media or email, and all that can be found at gncweekly.com/connect. Little bit of a light tech news this week. We all know, if you haven't heard on F5 Live, refreshing technology last week, Todd mentioned about the Epic Games versus Apple battle.
And it's gotten so much more interesting.
Yeah, it's been really crazy.
Chris Jordan and I talked about it on Dudes and Beer this week, because by the time Tuesday came around, the story had gotten so much more interesting than Sunday, and today it's even better. Oh my God. And I cannot wait to see what it looks like on Sunday for F5 Live this week.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna tune in. Hope you guys all tune in Sunday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, on
9 p.m. Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern. See, this is
we're 8 p.m.
We're 8 p.m. F5 Live Rushing Technology is 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday evening. So go there on plugitslive.com/join us. Now let's get into the news and the top story this week. And there's a little bit of an item about Epic Games in the "and finally" segment, which is really funny, and so you want to tune in for that. All right, the top story this week: just 2 years after becoming the first U.S. company to reach a $1 trillion market capitalization, speaking of Apple, Apple has officially doubled its valuation to $2 trillion. The $2 trillion market cap is based on Apple's stock-breaking price of $467.77 per share, multiplied by the company's most recent report of 4,275,000. Wait, 4 billion? Is it 4 billion or 4 trillion? 4,275,634,000. Is that 4 billion? It's built.
Yes.
Okay.
4.2 billion. Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at it like, how many zeros is it in that? The other company valued at $2 trillion is the Saudi Arabian oil company, who hit that number in December 2019. Now, despite the pandemic and this epic fight, excuse the pun.
That was my headline last week.
There you go. So despite all that, they're still making money. That's incredible in 2 years. And I got to say, Apple's got to be like, woohoo, neater.
Now, in fairness, it's not an indication of how much money they've made. It's an indication of how much trust the market has that they will make money with Apple. So a lot of this comes from the fact that in the very near future, I don't remember the exact date, but I think it's in the next couple of weeks. Apple is doing a 4-for-1 stock split.
Mm-hmm.
And so ahead of a stock split, the price is always going to go up. I told my father to buy into Apple stock. I don't know if he has. If he did not, sad story. But it's definitely, this is just the beginning, because this current stock price at I think the number I was just looking at was 458. But still, that's compared to the 467 earlier, or whatever, but when that goes 4 for $1, it'll go down to 115, and then I guarantee within a week or two that 115 is going to go back to 2. So there's going to be a huge stock price growth in the first couple of weeks after the split. There's no way the market lets Apple's stock stay under $200 for too long. So this is just the beginning, because that 4 billion for 275 is going to be 4, 8, 12, 16, 17 billion stocks, shares in the company within just a couple of weeks, and they're going to go back up to 2. So this is going to end up being 3 trillion before the end of the year, I bet.
So, question for you. So, do you think when this pandemic is over and done with, and with the Epic Games battle, do you think that it's going to make them an even bigger company going forward, and on top of the valuation?
I think the stuff with Epic is going to cost Apple dearly. Personally, I think that Epic has both the resources and the massive pettiness that I wish that I could be petty at the level that Epic is, to be able to fight this and actually accomplish something with it, because other people have made the complaint before in the EU. Spotify filed an antitrust against Apple, but A, it's the EU, and B, it's Spotify, which is a European company, not an American company. So in this case, an American company complaining to an American court about an American company for antitrust has way more potential to do something. I think in the end of this is going to hurt Apple. At the very least, it's making people aware of Apple's shady practices.
Okay.
So, but will that affect their stock price?
Right.
Who knows? Because stocks are way less connected to a company than people think they are. They're way less dependent on the company itself.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the Epic stuff is going to hurt Apple dearly.
Yeah. And it's going to be, and I imagine from what I understood, I think Judge Coe is that the person that's handling that lawsuit, or the going to court with that I saw?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think I saw something. I may be mistaken, but like I said, we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, speaking of other, I guess, gaming news, so to speak, a new report claims that 48% of all gaming happens on PCs, with a whopping 3.1 billion gamers worldwide across all platforms, consoles, and mobile devices. Overall, there are 1.42 billion gamers in Asia, 668 gamers across Europe, 383 million Latin American gamers, and 261 million North American gamers. Now, there isn't an exact breakdown on console versus mobile gaming by area, but consoles have different availability in different parts of the world. Mobile gaming is the most ubiquitous method of playing because smartphones are now the primary way people worldwide across the internet. This news is a little grammatically off. I'm like, look at
it happens.
Overall game spending has continued to surge during the COVID-19 pandemic. NPD estimates that July spending rose a whopping 30% annually to $3.25 billion. The video game accessory spending, which is
a 34% increase. That's insane. At a time when so many people are without work, to have a 34% increase in any industry is insane.
And the money to spend it as well.
Yeah.
Video games accessory spending also grew in July compared with the previous year, up 1.34x year over year, with full year accessory spending up 1.24x. Video game hardware sales is down 2%, but keep in mind that's a drop of 2% at a time when these platforms are going to replace in a matter of months. Overall, hardware sales are up 24% for the full year at $1.3 billion, which I imagine the figures are going to be different, maybe with PS5 and the Xbox Series X coming out.
Yeah, by the end of the year, these numbers, the changes will be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see, okay, so it's down 2%, which basically means it's flat, which, because a down 2%, that's just fluctuations in the market. That doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of the year, I bet that 24% up year over year will be 50%, 70%, 90% up year over year, because people are going to be buying the new hardware.
Right.
So, yeah. Now, to put that 3.1 billion gamers worldwide into perspective, that is 40% of the planet.
Wow. Let that sink in.
Yeah. That's 40% of the planet. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that if it were 10 years ago, my mom wouldn't be playing games, but today she is, which is, that's a big thing. Yeah. I was always going to be in that number. I got an NES when I was very little. My father had a ColecoVision before that. I was going to be in that number forever, but my mother has never been a gamer, but she's playing games on her phone, probably more than she should, which goes to show just how engaging they are, and for gamers of all ages. So,
right.
I'm not surprised this number is growing, and it's just going to keep going.
I can definitely say, because back in the day, I had Atari 5200 and I was in love with it. Then I was in the Nintendo 64 and I was loving it. And I was going to like your mom, I was so I was all in, and little by little, when the smartphone came out and there's all these great games, and we'll talk about this in a second, because it kind of ties it. We're still going to tie into phones for a second, but I have the phones that the games I play on my phone is I probably am in a lot of people's category playing as Candy Crush. I play that, and that's so addicting. I mean, when it's on crack, it's like highly addictive. And I play Solitaire on it, which I love, which is a great game. That's and also Wheel of Fortune as well, which is starting to upset me, but that's a whole different story. But it's so a lot of the games that are out now on smartphones, you have your RPGs, you have MMORPG games that looks great. Mind you, it's a small screen, but the graphics and it's a mini computer. So I think, more and more and more is you have the step going from console. There's a great, obviously.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that mobile actually is a platform where things can happen now.
Right.
Yeah, I was playing just the other night. I discovered that there's a mobile game, and here's part of why it's working. There's a mobile game based on Archer, the cartoon. So I was playing that the other night because I saw an ad somewhere like, oh, what? An Archer game? Yes, please.
Right.
Anytime H. John Benjamin is going to be talking out of my phone, it's a win.
Right. Okay.
As I've been moving, I've been listening to Bob's Burgers. So, he is always acceptable. An acceptable voice coming out of my phone, and the game is all based around Krieger, which is even better. And so, you've got these games that are fairly easy to build, which means that there can be profit in them, which means that the studios stay around, which is one of the things that has been a problem with these smaller type games in the past, is there's a way to generate revenue. Now, that gets us back to Epic a little bit, and that revenue is a little shady in the way that it's doled out. But if the game is fairly inexpensive to build, or you're able to get a licensed property, you can generate revenue off of it. The game will stay around because the studio will stay around.
Right.
Which, if you were around in the old Playfish days, you'd get into a game and then EA shut down Playfish. Yeah. Oh. So SimCity Social goes away. And so, you put time, you put energy into these games, and then they just poof, they're gone.
Right.
But there's all these small budget but big impact games available for mobile, and it makes it engaging for people who are used to big budget games.
Right.
And you said Wheel of Fortune's annoying you. Have you ever been so annoyed at a mobile game that you throw on your phone? Because I
yes.
sure have.
Yes. Yes.
I was playing Uno and I threw my phone because I have a problem with Uno. It had nothing to do with the game. I have a problem with Uno.
Right. I have different times when I look at it and I'm looking at and I get really pissed, and I'm like, but then I realize it's like you're in that mindset, like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, I get you.
No,
Speaking of what just happened.
Right. Exactly. Speaking of that, on Wednesday, this was a shocker. On Wednesday, the security startup Onward Mobility announced plans to release a new 5G Blackberry smartphone with a physical keyboard. It could, now mind you, it could arrive in North America and Europe as soon as the first half of 2021. Now, we all know that Blackberry was the greatest things in sliced bread. And I fully admit I had a Blackberry back in the 2000s. Then this kind of shocked me. I didn't know this. Maybe you can have some insight on this. TCL agreed to manufacture the two Blackberry branded phones. So in February, TCL decided not to renew the deal with Blackberry. And this month it stopped selling new devices. And
because TCL is selling their own branded stuff now. They actually didn't announce in February that they were going to stop. They let the contract expire in February. They announced at their CES press conference that they were not going to continue with Blackberry.
I see. Okay.
I remember they're like, we've got phones. And I said, I leaned to Danielle next to me. I said, the next announcement is they're giving up Blackberry. And then they said, and this will be the end of our Blackberry relationship. I'm like, yeah, of course it will.
Right. Yeah, I remember the press conference, but I forgot they were in with Blackberry. Now, Onward Mobility CEO Peter Franklin says the newest Blackberry is both sleek and secure. The company plans to work closely with Blackberry and FIH Mobile Limited, a subsidiary of Foxconn Technology Group. Okay, that gives you a clue about Foxconn.
Foxconn's a huge company,
right? With Apple, because they make Apple devices.
They manufacture lots of people's devices.
Right, that's true too. Sorry, you're right. BlackBerry CEO John Chen said in a statement, "quote BlackBerry is thrilled. Onward Mobility will deliver a BlackBerry 5G smartphone device with physical keyboard, leveraging our high standards of trust and security synonymous with our brand." So the question of the day is, or the evening would be, does BlackBerry have a chance again?
I'll tell you the BlackBerry. So there's a couple things that are important to remember. The BlackBerry OS is dead.
Right.
So
right.
So what BlackBerry has been doing over the last couple of years has been building an alternate version of Android that's all about security. It's a black box Android, which is so secure that government agencies are using it.
Right.
So that's a good sign for its capabilities. And they license that security technology out to other people. So do they need to have their own phone? Nope. They're doing okay without it. But the idea that they can have this kind of flagship, this is like Google having the Pixel, but it's not the most popular Android phone. But it's okay because it does its job. It shows what the software can do. And that's what this is going to be. They don't necessarily need to be successful with it for it to be a success. But do I think that a phone with a physical keyboard is going to have a place in the market? Yes, I sure do. Because Avram and I talk all the time about how much we miss physical keyboards. So, is there a place for a physical keyboard in the market? Absolutely. Is there a place for a phone with Blackberry's classic keyboard? Oh, yeah. Because other than Palm, best keyboard out there was the Blackberry by far.
I'm just kind of curious because from our viewers and listeners, if you the lower thirds below gncweekly.com /connect. I had a Blackberry tour from 2001. Was it 2001? No, I'm sorry. I think it was late 2001, early 2002. I think I had it about 3 or 4 years, and I loved it. I loved that trackball. I loved the you had the own private. This is back, with Facebook is private, message groups or what have you. But there's private groups that you can list them. And I remember having because I was doing things for different groups, a couple groups that I was involved with, and I have one group for one group name, another group name. I had all the contacts in. It was like everything was seamless. But then I got a call about Android. I can't remember what it was, what the device was. I can't remember what it was now. I can't remember. I'll think about it later. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But then when I got that phone, I'm like, I really missed that Blackberry because it was the smallest palm of your hand. It was tiny as hell, but nonetheless, though, it was it was easy to with the trackball and the keyboard. And if they come out with it, I've been with Pixel. I have Google Pixel phones for the past couple of years, so I'm kind of torn now because the Blackberry does sound interesting, and everyone had one. Literally, everyone had government officials on down. It was that's why they called it Crackberries,
because people couldn't let them go, and that's the kind of everybody is that now with their phone, but that came from Blackberry,
right?
So the key, which was the HTC phone, didn't have the trackpad,
right,
or the trackball, or the side wheel. It's a full touchscreen, but the device itself was sturdy, as I would expect from HTC. What, TCL? It's so funny because you were saying you switched to an Android and you couldn't think of what it was. My first thought was maybe it was the G1. And so the G1 was manufactured by HTC. So my mind slipped over there. But, TCL makes quality products. And so the device was really good. I do kind of wish that, I hope that whatever the new company does will have a trackpad on it. Just because that's what makes it a Blackberry,
right?
Either one of the three: the trackpad, the trackball, or the side wheel. That's kind of what made it a Blackberry.
Right.
And I understand it's a touchscreen. I get that. I'd be happy with a side wheel again, though. Oh, yes, the old side wheel.
Yes.
Even with a touchscreen.
Yes.
Holding your device like this and being able to scroll through the app list or through text messages or emails like this.
Yep.
I'd still be on board with that today.
Oh, I forgot about the track wheel. You're right. Oh, that was and you can, and it was so when you moved it, it was sometimes when you go, when you scroll and you tap on something you don't mean to, with the trackball and the side wheel, when you move it ever so slightly, you're not going to miss it. It's it's right. As soon as you press, go right on the side, you know exactly where it is, and it'll go right to it at one click, and you can hear the click. Oh,
it's if they honestly, if they were to team up with Razer and put a Razer scroll wheel, from the Razer mouse,
right,
on the side of the phone with that same click and that that you can feel it roll.
Right.
You can feel every step of it, and you can press it without it rolling out of your way. They'd have a believer in me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just kind of torn again because I've been using Google Pixels, and the Google Pixel 5 is coming out, I think, this year or next couple months. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, but then when I saw this, I'm like, oh, I'm so torn. I'm so torn now.
Oh, that textured back, because TCL had the the classic BlackBerry textured back on the key phones. Yeah. I've had them in my hand. I've used them. They are very nice. And hopefully these new ones will be the same with 5G, but it is a new manufacturer. But, BlackBerry is involved in all of their licensed products. They worked with TCL on the old ones to make sure that the keyboards were right, that the texture on the back was right. So I think we're going to see the same thing with Onward, that it'll still look and feel like a BlackBerry while being modern.
Well, we're going to see what's going to happen, and definitely, and if anything more news comes out, the next few weeks, or
when they announce what the devices are going to be, we will definitely bring that to you.
Absolutely. Speaking of other Android news, I guess this is Google news. Google has asked the FCC for permission to conduct secret wireless broad tests using the 6 gigahertz spectrum in multiple cities across the U.S. This is according to a document spotted by Business Insider. It wants to run experimental propagation testing in a 6 gigahertz band to see if the frequencies can provide, quote, reliable broadband connections. This is from the redacted application. Google wanted information on public document redacted, saying that if, quote, if subject to public disclosure would cause significant commercial, economic, and competitive harm. It made the application for multiple cities in 17 states, including Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Nevada, New York, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas, Utah, and Virginia. In California, it plans to test in 7 cities, including Los Angeles and San Francisco. So if Google is asking the FCC for permission, why keep it a secret? I mean, if they want to, see if better broadband works, why would they want to keep it hush hush?
They're required to tell the FCC what they're testing.
Okay.
They don't want Comcast and Charter to know exactly what it is they're testing.
Okay.
Because my guess is that this is the third wave of Google broadband, right? The first wave was Google Fiber, which has been shut down. Well, not shut down. They're still operating in the cities that they're operating in, but they're not rolling out new cities. The second was purchasing that wireless company whose name I can't think of now, that they integrated into the Google Fiber division and renamed it to Google Broadband. My guess is this is wave 3 that will not require all the repeaters and stuff to be put on buildings. The intention, my guess is their hope is the same hope that Clearwire had when 4G came out, that they'd be able to provide wireless broadband. Clearwire was wrong and is out of business.
Okay.
And their network is dead. So
okay.
But with 5G, you've got some more capability. And if they're testing in the 6 gigahertz range, it might mean that they're trying for their own standard, something that's not 5G. And when you're not, when your standard doesn't have to support voice and all of the things that, that these guys have to support, right? The regular cell phone has to support. You have more flexibility. So maybe they've got their own standard, or maybe it's based on the thing they bought. So there's a lot of questions there, and those are the questions they want their competitors asking.
Right.
They don't want their competitors to go, oh, I see, they're using the standard from that company and they're going to try it across wider range. Nope.
And
They want all their competitors to go, what are they up to?
right.
And that's why.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And also the other questions, where they're going to say, well, let's going to sue them because they're stealing our technology.
Yeah.
So
with
that
something like this, where Google's trying to get into something new, best to not let anybody know what your plans are.
Right.
Any more than you have to.
Yeah, keep it close to your chest. Okay.
Yeah. It's the reason why the last thing that a company does with a new wireless phone is get FCC approval, because the FCC can't keep their mouths shut because they're a government agency and they're required to say things.
Right. Right.
So,
all right. Oh, we'll see what happens. All right. Speaking of going public for real, Airbnb, the home rental company, on Wednesday said it filed paperwork to go public, a milestone for a Silicon Valley pioneer that has faced a rocky year as the coronavirus pandemic took its toll on the travel industry. The company said in a blog post that the amount and price range of the shares have not yet been determined. Airbnb took advantage of a Securities and Exchange Commission rule that lets companies keep their paperwork confidential until closer to the public offering. The company declined to comment beyond its initial announcement. I mean, it's good that they're going public, but right. But as far as like what the stock price is going to be set at, and with this campaign, not many people are in the renting, or in Airbnbs, except for that Blockbuster in Oregon.
Oh, so glad you managed to bring that up.
If you missed that, it's on the last episode. It was where the last Blockbuster in the world in Oregon is having a sleepover, and you can rent on Airbnb. You can, and has where, as you said, Scott, the full house decor.
Saved by the Bell.
Sorry, Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell. Sorry,
because the bedspread had that same
right.
Anybody who knows the Saved by the Bell opening knows what we're talking about.
Right.
That's what the bedspread is.
I'm getting my 90s sitcoms.
That is okay. So Airbnb did an interesting pivot this year. They've managed to deal with doing local tours, which is something that they've done, but they've never targeted at people who live in the area. It's an idea that one of our collision companies from, I think, 19 did. And so Airbnb did something similar. And, it was a clever pivot for people who aren't traveling, for the company to try and generate some revenue. They've also done some virtual tours, which is another clever way of dealing with what's going on. So, they have managed to keep afloat, but it's sure not doing the revenue it was doing this time last year. And I think what they're hoping is that by the time they actually do go public, they'll be able to be generating better revenue, either from the world going back to a little bit closer to normal, or by having some new ideas in the pipeline. I don't know what, but I think that's why they're keeping their numbers private, because they're hoping to change the numbers and make them higher by the time they actually announce them, which makes sense to me. The value of the company today versus the value of the company this time last year is going to be significantly lower. And so if they can do things to prop the value proposition up before they announce their numbers, that'll only be better for them. But Silicon Valley IPOs in the last couple of years have been notoriously disastrous. So trying to do it now seems like the worst idea. I don't know. It just seems crazy to try it right now. Yeah. We've seen so many IPOs by the end of their opening day at 40 or 50% of their opening value, just like immediately tank. And so if a lot of your equity, like if a lot of your initial pay for being an early employee of the company is in stock options, the last thing you want to see is the value of the stock drop to half on day one.
Maybe is it because that, do you think that when they went public, do you think that they're basically getting in while it's, the old saying, get it while the iron's hot? Maybe that they're going to probably, their stock price is going to be set, it's going to be very, very low. And then once the pandemic dies down, that's when things will get investors were like, we're going to jump in with both feet. Does that maybe
you can't set it too low, because the stock price the initial stock price is based on the actual value of the company.
Right.
So, they've got forensic accountants that are going through every penny worth of assets that they own to figure out the current valuation of the company. And then, there's the stock issue, and then valuing, and then you've got to remember that you've got employees that have stocks that are promised at certain prices. And so if you're promised stocks at $35 a share and you go public at 13, now you've got to give them 3 shares for every share that they actually have. There's a lot more work involved in that, and coming out low makes it look like you don't value your company very high.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't even value yourself high, why do I? So there's a lot of things that go into picking an initial stock price. It is very tricky, and there are professionals at all of the big banks, the big investment banks, that do nothing but help companies figure out what to launch at.
Right. Well,
and it is tricky. And I think the bankers, whoever they're working with, because I haven't heard who they're working with for this, I have a feeling the bankers said, there's a way that you can keep it quiet. Let's take advantage of it. We lose things by doing it, but I think right now we're going to only gain.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And by no means, I don't want us to, to our viewers and our listeners to take any stock advice.
Oh God, no. I mean, I've been watching the industry long enough that I can see some patterns, but this is an anti-pattern. This is so different from what we usually see, But in fairness, a lot of the Silicon Valley companies have been anti-patterns, because Facebook literally broke the law during their IPO to purchase Instagram.
Look where it's at now.
Yeah, it's more important than Facebook.
There you go. All right, we're going to keep an eye on it. I'm kind of curious what's going to be set at and see what happens.
That's what I'm curious about. I can't wait to see that number.
Yeah, ditto. All right, other news this week. There was a study that has found that smartphones can detect when you had too much to drink by monitoring your walk. American researchers use sensors in smartphones to detect when somebody over the legal drink drive limit. Phones were able to do this with about 90% accuracy when users walked just 10 steps in the study by the University of Pittsburgh. Scientists hope this discovery can be used to develop device alerts, such as asking people not to drive while drunk. Lead researcher Brian Saffoletto says, quote, "We have powerful sensors we carry around with us wherever we go. We need to learn how to use them to best serve public health." The study had 22 participants aged 21 to 43 who were given a vodka and lime juice drink every hour until they reached 80 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood. With a smartphone strapped to their back, How do you do that? I don't know. The participants performed a walking task every 2 hours, walking a straight line for 10 steps, turning around and walking back. About 90% of the time, the researchers were able to identify those over the limit through changes in gait highlighted by the phones.
Mhm.
Although this is a preliminary study, the scientists hope it lays a foundation for further research. They want to carry out additional experiments which better mimic how people carry their phones, like in their hands or pockets. I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
gait
think that's pretty
analysis is a really cool technology.
Mm.
I worked on a project using Microsoft Connect, first gen Connect, doing gait analysis for physical therapy recovery.
Okay.
And yeah, gait analysis and range of motion are fascinating. It's as far into the medical field as I can get because I hate sticky things.
Mm.
And we're all filled with goop, and I can't do that. But gait
Right.
analysis is a part of the medical field that I can totally get into,
Yeah.
and it really is interesting. And the amount of different ways that you can detect variance in gait is as varied as your actual walking stride itself, because everybody walks differently. Everybody's got a different gait, and you know, the phone could, and I understand why they strapped it to their back. I understand
Okay.
putting
I
it.
did.
It's a preliminary study. The idea was to test the concept. So what they did was they picked the center of the body,
Okay.
which would be your back.
If you're
Because
watching a
that's-
live stream, live video,
because-
Scott's demonstrating how it works on the back. Go ahead.
So basically, they probably designed a little backpack type strap
Okay.
that slipped a phone straight in the back.
Okay.
Kind of like how a microphone, like a lapel microphone, straps to the back for a professional singer, or like on Broadway, they've got backpacks. They probably built something very similar, because your back is the center of your motion, right? So it's able to pick up your stride probably the best from there, other than having one strap to each leg, which would be weird.
Right.
But
and you're uncomfortable.
but the goal was simply to test, can we do it? Yes. So
Yep.
now, how do we do it? By putting it in a pocket. How do we do it? By holding it in your hand. And how can we tell if you normally carry it in your pocket? How can we convert that into data if you're drunk and holding the phone in your hand? So there's a lot more that's going to go into this, but the fact that they can use the accelerometer and stuff like that in the phones to do gait analysis, super cool, because there's more than just drunk driving here. There's physical therapy things that can come out of this, for people like my mother who just had knee surgery. If you could just put a phone on their back and tell them walk 10, come back 10, and you can do objective gait analysis, that's awesome. And if then you can have, your physical therapist can have you carry your own phone around and see if you're getting better, that's awesome. There's so much cool stuff that could come out of this.
Yeah, I know that when we were at CES, there was a lot of health tech, and I think we're going to keep circling back to CES for the next year.
Well, it's when all the cool stuff is announced. It's
right. But it's interesting because when we saw all the different products that were out there, and it's more prevalent, a lot more now than it was, say, 2-3 years ago, and so even this is going to make strides even more. And how, what you said, have you thought about this? We can integrate things into, let's say, for example, if you're over the legal limit, you can use that technology that you can clearly say you're drunk. You can integrate that into Uber or into Lyft, and you can get a ride home, and that can all kind of tie in together. And
if they to kind of preface a story coming up in a little bit.
Mm.
If they can work with an organization like Rapid SOS, which we'll talk about in like 2 stories, if they can work with an organization like Rapid SOS that also has relationships with companies like Uber and Lyft, perhaps, you know, if it's 100% sure you're over the limit, maybe it doesn't let you start your car, but gives you a discount for Uber and Lyft.
Right. Good tie-in. So we're going to get into that very shortly. Meanwhile, now we all love John Legere, former CEO of T-Mobile, who pokes jabs at Verizon incessantly on their commercials and his tweets,
and everybody,
right?
Everybody,
right. Well, T-Mobile has launched yet another ad campaign blasting Verizon's 5G network coverage, telling the rival carrier that the quote truth hurts. T-Mobile said on Wednesday that customers can only connect to Verizon's 5G network 0.4% at a time because it's only live in certain parts of the cities. T-Mobile CEO Mike Sievert, who's now taking the the jabbing torch, says he tweeted, quote, "Odds are," and I love this. This is a great tweet. John Legere should be like just bowing down to him. Odds are you can't get Verizon 5G, but look at the bright side. You can play connected to us on our coverage map.
And coverage is in sarcasm quotes.
Right.
Which just to nail this thing home, the word coverage is in sarcasm quotes.
Right.
Oh, so good. This guy is ridiculous. I love that T-Mobile didn't lose their personality when John Legere left. Oh, so good. And I love that they're essentially going to be calling the campaign Truth Hurts.
Right.
And obviously they had to go after Verizon because AT&T has already fired up their 5G on a much wider level. Also, T-Mobile just took, I think this week, took the number 2 spot away from AT&T. They are now the number 2 carrier in the country behind Verizon, which is a huge step considering when the 2 companies combined, they were still way behind AT&T. They've managed to not just fill, but cover the gap. So we're not going to take a swipe at AT&T. AT&T's trying.
Right. But
Verizon's still ahead of us. So we got you in our sights, buddy.
Right. And this isn't T-Mobile's first anti-5G ad campaign rodeo. In February, it started calling its rival carrier, and I love this one back in the day, Verizon, and asking why Verizon's 5G is only available in limited areas. This came after its Verizon ad campaign last year, which ripped into Verizon's lack of transparency over where its 5G networks were live. T-Mobile called its previous campaign successful, crediting it with Verizon finally publishing 5G availability maps in November 2019. And of course, Verizon didn't immediately respond to requests for comment.
No, of course not.
Of course not. Right.
You know, when the school bully calls you out, you don't respond.
Right.
Because that just encourages them.
And it's going to end. And I didn't respond. And when that campaign ran, those campaigns ran, they didn't say anything. And but I think
but they did respond because they did finally publish their map.
Right. After they got completely hammered by the campaign.
Yeah, they were absolutely spanked by T-Mobile publicly. And they eventually had to do something about it because their customers started to say, hey, AT&T and T-Mobile and even Sprint have 5G coverage maps. Where's yours? And they're like,
right. I love this. I hope I would love to see his tweets. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have to, like, when I get off the air, when we get off the air, I'm going to follow him.
Oh, I follow John on both Twitter and Facebook. And as soon as he said, I'm going to be giving up the CEO spot after the merger. I'm like, let's find his replacement. Let's hope that he's going to be even 10% John. And
he's on.
Honest to God, the sarcasm quotes, he's coming for his predecessor. He's not just coming after Verizon, he's coming after John, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to follow him, because when I saw this, and I was cracking up about this. This is awesome. So good on him. So we'll keep in tune with the with his tweets. All right. In other news this week, over on AndroidCentral.com. They have we'll have a link up in the show notes on how big tech companies are supporting the 2020 U.S. elections. We're not a politics podcast. That's for, but there are some different ways that you can get information, how to register. For example, Amazon Alexa. You can ask the Amazon's. If I set off anyone's devices, I apologize. You'll be able to ask Amazon's digital assistant to help with election participation. This extends both the questions revolving around procedural issues and those revolving around candidates and their platforms. Apple and ABC News. They've announced that Apple's announced they were partnering with ABC News about the coverage. Facebook and Instagram. There's information about that. They also have Facebook has a voting information center. So the list goes on and on and on. And we're not going to go into great. You can see I have the link up. We'll have a link up in the show notes that you can check out on all the ways that the companies are doing their part. And so whatever side you're on,
either doing their part or participating, whether that's
right
for the better or not. Here's the thing to remember with all of this: never go to a single source.
No,
always look for multiple sources of information, because there was an issue in 2016 where I don't remember what platform it was, but it was giving wrong dates or wrong times or something, not on purpose, just because computers suck. And then you've got Apple teaming up with ABC News, but remember that ABC News is the same organization that used footage from Italy to talk about hospitals in New York being overrun. So, they get it wrong. So never use, it doesn't matter what the topic is.
Right.
But
do your research.
Definitely when it comes to, mentioning getting information on candidate positions. Right. Definitely get multiple sources.
Yeah, definitely do your research. Don't trust on one, especially because I know with Facebook, people, think that's the Bible. It's not. There's so much different things, resources that are available at your disposal. And again,
you've got Facebook being sued this week by a medical organization for losing access to fundraising because they posted a study that they ran in their research organization. They ran a study, they published the study, they put a link to the study. Facebook demonetized the page. So, human beings are slanted. It just, it is what it is. We all have our position, and it's hard not to do that, right? Everybody talks about Murrow being unbiased. Nope. Everybody has a slant, and there's no way around it. So definitely one source isn't enough for anything, but especially when it comes to something as important as your voting information and policy positions. Absolutely.
Definitely get out to vote. No matter what side you're on. Again, we're not. This is not a politics podcast, because there are plenty of them. Yep. But definitely do your. He's absolutely right. Definitely do your research, and we'll have a link in the show notes of all the different resources, what they're doing, steps to take, etc. So it's a very exhaustive list. So definitely check it out. It'll be well worth it. All right. Now we were talking about RapidOS earlier, and Sirius XM and emergency tech company Rapid SOS are partnering to provide first responders more data in the event of a car crash. Sirius XM technology that connects drivers to speak with 911 dispatchers is already part of 10 million cars in North America. This is according from a statement. With Rapid SOS, 911 dispatchers will now get critical crash information without having to speak with vehicle occupants. Uber, Waze, and other companies have also partnered with RapidOS to share customers' locations and crash data with 911 dispatchers. Under the SiriusXM Rapid SOS partnership, first responders will receive customers' locations as well as a description of the vehicle, whether airbags were deployed, crash data, impact data, the number of people in the vehicle, and contact information of occupants. Rapid SOS users with linked accounts can also choose to share important medical information. All data will be sent, quote, securely and with user consent. This is also important to the statement. Occupants
which can tie us back to our previous statement, our previous topic, because Rapid SOS could share your alcohol level,
right,
based on your phone sensors and stuff like that. So that's where the connection on the previous story comes from.
Right.
But of course, that doesn't mean that you can't, just because there's a lot of automation doesn't mean you won't be speaking to dispatchers. You'll still have access to speak to a human being, but it's just a lot of information will already be there. So they don't have to keep asking you questions that are simple, because there's no telling what condition you're in, right? So the more information, if you've wrapped your car around a telephone pole, you might be unconscious. Wouldn't it be great if 911 could get there, know the state of your car, know that you're not responding, so that you're unconscious, that all that kind of information, and that maybe you have an allergy to a medication. If all of that information can be available to an ambulance when it shows up on site, that's better for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And also because I have if people are watching my watching the live stream, I have OnStar, and there's an app where it'll show you. I don't know if my screen's really bright, but there's an app. OnStar has an app where you can remotely start your car, request assistance. And it's a really good tool, and I love it. I mean, if it gives me like all the information for it, so. So this is great use technology to, and like you said before, tying in with the prior, news item, it's, but my thing is that the concern about with the data, making sure that it's, it's good, with the statement saying that it's securely and with the consent, whereas a lot of data is not, is just basically just blown out. And it's like you can't get it back, and you got to fight tooth and nail to what happened, why did it leak, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah,
which is recovering their butt. All right, other news this week: Apple is beefing up its linear Apple Music radio stations with their launch that was just launched of 2 new stations and a rebranding of the popular Beats One station. Apple Music Country and Apple Music Hits is available now, and Beats One is now known as Apple Music One. Apple Music Country will focus on country music. It'll have multiple on-air hosts as well as exclusive shows from artists like Luke Bryan, Carrie Underwood, and Jimmy Allen. Apple Music Hits will, of course, focus on mainstream top music. On-air hosts include Estelle and Nicole Sky, while exclusive artist-oriented shows will come from Backstreet Boys, Ciara, Shania Twain, and Snoop Dogg, among others. Along with the Beats One rebrand, Apple's releasing new shows on channel Lady Gaga, J Balvin, Travis Scott, and Haim. Listeners can access stations where they typically listen to Apple Music, although the company is also launching new Siri commands like play Apple Music One, Apple Music Hits, or Apple Music Country, which will switch those stations on automatically. Very
well.
Cool.
That's the last bit of the Beats branding inside of Beats Music to finally go, because Apple Music is the old Beats Music platform that they purchased. So that's Beats One was the last remaining place that logo existed within the app. So that's it's a little sad to see that go. But it does sound like they're leaning harder into that linear station concept, which I don't know.
I thought exactly the same thing. The same thing.
I'm not a fan of traditional radio.
I'm not either.
So for me, it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. It's not a win for me, but obviously people must be using it still, or they wouldn't be spending more time and more money to get the likes of Lady Gaga and Travis Scott on board. So people must be doing it. Oh, and Snoop Dogg.
Right. Because they probably threw in a lot of money.
Yeah.
A ton of money.
Yeah. So there must be people listening to it. It's not going to be me, and not just because I don't have Apple Music.
Right.
But it's not going to be me. If Spotify had stations like this, I wouldn't listen there either.
Right.
If Amazon Music had stations like this, I wouldn't listen there either. It's not me. I want to be able to skip a song if I don't like it, which is most of them.
Exactly. And I'm not Apple. I know, because I'm not a one get hip with this, but I'm not Apple Music. I tried it. I had it for about maybe a hot second, and I'm like, the UI is like garbage. I mean, it's our personal opinion. I mean, your mileage may vary, differences, what have you. But I think that's it's not worth my time. So, but I mean, that's fine. But
I miss the Beats Music interface, to be perfectly honest. When they first bought it, they shut it down. When they first bought Beats, they shut down Beats Music almost immediately. And they rebranded it, but just a little bit. Because when it came back as Apple Music, even the accent color in the app was that Beats Not Quite Red.
Right.
That kind of pinky color. That was still the accent color in the app. It was 100% Beats Music with an Apple logo on the front. I'm like, oh, so y'all changed nothing except the logo. Got it.
Right.
Which was fine, because the Beats Music interface was great. And then at WWDC, they're like, look, we changed the interface. I'm like, oh, shame. That was the only thing that made it okay. The interface is the thing that was good.
Say how you really feel, Scott.
I was a fan of Beats Music.
Okay.
I really was. It was a good platform. And, the idea of adding the licensing that Apple has for music into it seemed like it was going to be a big win. But then they started to pull apart what made it special. And so it's just another streaming service. So,
yeah,
I get one for free with my Amazon Prime. I get
hashtag sponsor for. I get
one for free with my Xbox subscription. I get I can use Spotify for 6 months because of Xbox. I get Amazon Prime Music for free. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of money on something else that's not special.
Right. Again,
Beats Music was special. Apple Music isn't.
Again, hashtag sponsor.
Yeah.
All right. Next in the video streaming news, over on get my computer to share it, watching the video. There we go. Okay. In video streaming news, what's coming to Hulu in September?
I'm sorry. What was that image at the top? Okay. It's less weird than I thought it was.
Okay. Sorry.
Because it's still weird.
All right. So if you're watching watching the video if you're listening on audio, there's a woman. It's
a girl. I think in the show she's 15 or 16.
Okay. She's let's not get too.
She's practicing kissing on a mirror.
Okay. That I didn't.
She's a teenage girl. She's practicing kissing on a mirror. It's a pretty common TV trope.
Okay.
It's not what it looked like as you were scrolling by.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's scroll down.
So Pen 15 is coming. A new season of season 2 of Pen 15 is coming.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
I was aware of that one. I was pretty excited about it.
Okay. I didn't know that exists. I'm sorry.
The first season was pretty funny.
Okay. All right. So that just kind of. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got you. Back to school.
Yes, this is all available on some of them on September 1st. Back to school.
That was an exciting one.
That's a that's a good
The Birdcage.
The Birdcage.
Oh my God, that was 1997. Holy crap!
That was a really good. That was a really good movie.
It really was.
That was a really good movie. I love that.
Two of my favorite actors.
Yeah, Robin Williams. I mean, he's a great actor.
And Nathan Lane.
Nathan
Great
Lane.
singer.
Yep.
Day the Earth Stood Still. Demolition Man.
Wow, 1993.
That's not good.
No. Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay
and go to White Castle.
Funny. Those two movies were funny. With what was it? What did he call? Not Doogie Howser, but his what did he nickname him? Oh, I can't remember what nickname was.
I don't know, but he got the job on How I Met Your Mother because of that movie.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Huh, okay. What did he call him? I can't remember what it was. Oh, I'll. There's so many things I'm keeping. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't.
I know.
All right. So you know what I'm talking. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Go to gnsuperweekly.com/connect and remind me because I totally blanked out. All right. Let's see what else is. Okay. Available September 2nd. Hell on the Border. September 8th. American Engine Warrior. Archer.
Oh, wait. Hold on. What did that say?
Where? Sorry.
A&W, did that say? Oh, season 12. Yeah. That's the new season. It starts on the 7th, I think. So it makes sense that it would be available on the 8th.
And speaking of Archer, which I'm like a happy puppy. Oh,
I know.
I had that bookmarked already.
I have this great app that we were introduced to at CES that lets me know when new episodes of shows are coming. Oh, wonderful.
It's Minnow. It's Minnow, right?
What's that? Yeah.
It was Minnow. Okay. Yeah.
New Archer.
When I saw that, and I've been following that like for the past like year and a half, and I'm like,
he's awake. He's awake.
All right. So
the anthology is over. The fever dream is over.
Yep. All right, so we'll have a link up in the show notes so you can check out on everything that's coming up on Hulu.
Addams Family,
yep. Over on CNET.com, every new movie and show on Netflix in September 2020.
Grease.
Grease.
I already know.
Okay.
It wasn't on your screen yet. Grease. Okay. I know Grease is coming, and all of the Back to the Futures.
Right, all Back to the Futures.
Which I'm super excited about.
September 2nd.
New Chef's Table.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. And we're going to go down a little more. September 15th.
Pets United. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
How to Train Your Dragon 2. Look at that. Netflix is getting all of that non-Disney stuff.
Right. Is it? Or does it go to goes to Peacock?
If it's Universal, it could, yeah.
Right. So hopefully this will stay on Netflix for a little while.
Ancient Aliens season 3. Interesting, because all like 85 seasons are available on Hulu right now. That stupid show has been on for way too long. I'm sorry, that's called Taco Chronicles. I definitely have to find out what that means.
And that kind of piques my curiosity as well. All right, let's see.
Obviously a bizarre name.
That can go so many different directions.
Uh-huh.
All right, other stuff. Other December 22nd, Chico Bonbon Monkey with a Tool Belt season 3. That could.
It's the next one I'm excited about. Jack Whitehall Travels with My Father season 4. I did not think he was going to convince Michael Whitehall to do a 4th season of this. I am so happy. That show is so funny. Jack Whitehall is a British comedian, and his father is very proper British. And so Jack takes him to places where he can't get, normal normal British stuff. He wants a beer with his meal or whatever. Well, that's not what you're going to get in this place. It's great. Taco Chronicles is a travel cooking show.
Okay, good. Now that you looked it up, okay, good. I didn't. I could have went so many.
But if you've never seen Jack Whitehall Travels with My Father, definitely check it out. It is so funny. And Jack Whitehall's a great comedian, and his father is the perfect straight man.
I'll definitely have to bookmark that amongst my other stuff that I'm bookmarking that I'm watching. All right, and over on lifehacker.com, this will be in the show notes as well. What's coming to Disney Plus in September 2020?
I feel like this list is going to be shorter,
right?
Hey, look at what's coming on the first day. 5 things. Oh, the Muppet Show. Oh, Muppets Now. The Mighty Ducks movies.
It's leaving in
is it leaving? Yet. Oh
no, dropping.
Sadness. Well, if you want to see Muppets Now, watch it now. It's gone in a week.
Right.
So what have we got here? We've got the Mighty Ducks movies.
Yep.
That's cool. Is it all 3? Nope,
just 2. Just 2.
Interesting.
Mulan. See, there's a lot of talk about the live action with Mulan. So you're paying for Disney Plus, and as an added bonus, $30, which that makes hard pass for me. I don't have Disney Plus, but
especially for one of these live action remakes, none of them have been good.
Right.
So I'm certainly not going to spend $30 for something that I'm already convinced isn't going to be good.
And it's probably going to be in our library for a very short period, and it's going to go away. So whereas you can, so that's a whole.
And at some point, it'll just be there. It's not going to be on September 4th or whatever, but it will be there eventually.
Right.
No telling when, but it'll just be part of the catalog at some point.
Right.
So I'm not worried about it.
I'm not either. And again, I don't have Disney Plus, so, but
I heard good things about Christopher Robin, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was there was a lot of good reviews about it, and all in the positive. Let's see, September 18th.
Boy, that font is unfortunate because those S's look like $signs. I was like, it costs an extra $1 for Kingdom of the Mummies. Oh no, wait, that says S1. That's season 1. Never mind.
Right.
Boy, there's nothing particularly exciting coming to Disney Plus in September, is there? Other than the Mighty Ducks movies,
right? Oh, there's the Muppet Babies, and only season 2.
It's only $2.
Oh, season 2.
Such an unfortunate font.
Well, this is Lifehackers pages.
I know. That's unfortunate.
All right, so I will link up in the show notes you can check out. And over on the do you need help with your tech this week? Over on the Verge.com, the best accessories to improve your school from home experience. There's the
no.
We're not students, so
I totally disagree on Rocketbook. Its text to its OCR is so bad.
Mm. Well, this is Verge's take. But their own take on what they think is the best alternative. So
I put mine in a box today as I was packing part of my office, and I growled as I put it in the box. So weird. And they've got dots on the pages.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't even use a better OCR camera. You can't just like use the Rocketbook as a really great, essentially dry erase notebook and then use a better OCR because there's these little dots all over the place. It screws up everybody else's OCR. I think they did it on purpose. It drives me crazy. I decided not to even review it publicly because I was so mad at it.
I heard of it, but I never used it. So it's good. All right. So they're also suggesting get a good laser printer.
Agreed.
Get a reliable mesh Wi-Fi system. Speaking of that, we'll have something about that in the show notes about that. Alternatively, a wire connection can be better, even better and cheaper. A cheap set of wireless noise canceling headphones. So I
wouldn't say a cheap set. I would say a quality set because you're going to be using them way more than you think.
True. That's true. Well, again, this is Verge's take, which we'll
yeah, I wouldn't go for a $50 set like they're talking about. I'd go for a little bit more. I mean, you don't have to go for $350 like I'm wearing, but something like the Shivers work real well, and I think they retail for like $119 or something like that.
Yeah, and for my personal opinion, I use I like Sony's headphones. They're roughly in the $60 to $100 range. They're pretty decent. So that's my I can. All right. So next up over on AndroidCentral.com, VPN uses 14 of the best things you can use a VPN for. #ad for for Plugits Live, for F5 Live. One of some of the tips: watch your favorite shows when you're abroad. Stay anonymous online with a VPN. Excuse me. Keep secure when on public Wi-Fi. So there's some great tips that you can check out on that.
Bypass government censorship. Yep.
That
is that should be number one.
Right.
That is in the wrong order.
Well, Android Central wrote this up, so but maybe that person probably wrote it like, but maybe next time that we're going to run this again, that should be number one. Also on AndroidCentral.com, speaking of Wi-Fi 6 mesh routers, the best Wi-Fi 6. See, some of these websites, they have these big honking ads, and it's so annoying. So they have the best overall, the Netgear Nighthawk MK62, the best upgrade pick, the Netgear Orbi Wi-Fi 6 system, the best speeds, best large spaces, the TP-Link Deco X20, best router with mesh.
I 100% agree with their top pick, the Nighthawk. That if I was setting up a mesh today, it would be a Nighthawk. So we got a good one.
Hey, all right, we got a winner. All right. Also on AndroidCentral.com, speaking of headphones, they have their best wireless earbuds. They have the Jabra Elite 75T, Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus, or with their magic beans. The
Sennheiser Momentum, yeah.
True wireless.
Those are great.
The All-Key EP-95.
If you're going for something cheap, putting the All-Key name on it is usually a good start. They're like TCL. It's going to be a decent quality for way less than it should be.
Yeah. The Sony WF-1000 XM3. These ones I had wired ones. I mean, wires now, but I have to pick one of these up again. These are for me, these are great headphones. I love them. I think they were like $100, I think it was, but I agree with that pick. The Google Pixel Buds, Jaybird Vista, and there's list goes on and on and on. So we'll have a link up in the show notes on that. And finally, this week, with the Epic and the Apple battle. We all know about Fortnite and the long things are going on with that. Well, there's a woman whose son has a iPhone product red iPhone XR with 64 gigabytes, which she says has a copy of Fortnite installed. She wants to sell it for him. And the asking price, and this is no joke, $5,000. $5,000. A 5 and 3 zeros.
Okay. Okay. This is like the weirdest upgrade to the webcam gouging that's happening right now. Especially when you take into consideration that at some point in the very near future, enough updates will be made to the game that you still won't be able to play it.
And
so you're paying $5,000 for an older phone that you'll be able to play Fortnite on for
ever
a couple of weeks
or
before the servers are updated, and you'll have to have an app update to be able to play it, and you won't be able to get one because it's not in the store. Oh, it's an eBay listing. It's an eBay listing.
Right. Well, here's the best part. Before we went on air about an hour and a half ago, and here's what I found, and I'm gonna bring up the eBay site.
It's been pulled because of gouging.
Yeah. And she said in the listing, and the listing I saw as of yesterday, and I was trying to pull up to see if there was anything coming up. She said, quote, "Please help me get rid of Fortnite." She said, "My son's quote. My son agreed to it if we get a sufficient bid." And when I saw the, I'm going to bring up the screenshot here. I don't know if you can see if I can. Whoop, too small. There we go. Okay, if you're watching a live video right now, or if I get the screen to, there we go. Okay, it was on the bottom of the page, and it's not here. On the bottom of the page, it was a suggested price. It said. So. Yeah, it's as of about an hour and a half ago, it was taken down, but it was cheap.
I've got a replacement. I'm holding it up right now.
Oh, you're okay.
It's 3,000 now instead of 5, and it expires on Tuesday instead of tomorrow or Sunday.
Sunday. Okay. Oh my goodness.
Oh, wait, no. It'll be delivered by the 1st. By the 1st, I see. It's got 3 days and 15 hours left. And one bid. Somebody's actually bid on it.
Someone bid. Oh my God. Oh boy. Why would
$10 says whoever bid on it is a new account that they don't care that they're going to get bad feedback when they don't follow through.
Oh
You used
my
to
god.
be able to see the bidders. I guess you can't see that anymore. What was the woman's name?
There wasn't. Let me. I don't think there wasn't a name listed here. I'm gonna see if
No?
I can. No, there wasn't.
Nakari.
Let's see.
I see the name Nakari here. Lorena Nakari. This account is Anderson Raz.
Lorraine
this
Nakari,
is
right?
So this is a different one.
Mm.
Here's an iPad 6th generation with Fortnite installed for $600. Also from Anderson Raz.
Mm.
Oh, this is fascinating. This is almost as interesting as the actual story.
Yeah.
Especially considering Anderson Raz is also selling used Nike golf shoes. Oh my god. This is the best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you included this because this is so dumb and I love it.
So that's why, again, with the and finally segment, I always try to pull, I try to pull something that makes you scratch your head, funny. I mean, this obviously isn't the meatball sub, cat, ranking up in that in that hystericalness. I mean, it was actually, well, Scott and I have a hidden joke about it, but but as far as like when it ranks up in like scratching your head and like what? Wait, what? that falls under the excuse me, baking powder.
I got you. I got it. I got it beat. iPhone 8 Plus with Fortnite, US $10,000 plus $8 for shipping.
Woo!
At that point, I don't know why shipping's not just included, but it is what it is.
Right.
Here we have, I swear to God, I thought that the listing was for a car, but that's the background on the iPhone. All it has installed is Fortnite. They want $5,000 for it.
Oh my goodness.
See, this is what's going to happen. You're just going to flood the market, and then they're going to get cheap. This one's only $1,500. Oh, I almost got through that without laughing.
Oh no! Jeez.
Here's an iPhone 11 Pro with Fortnite installed. The eBay listing. If you just search iPhone Fortnite, oh my God, the number of them is. I'm still scrolling.
Oh jeez.
There's so many of them.
Well, I think this Fortnite thing is gonna be like it's not gonna go away, and it's gonna be interesting, with this battle with Apple in the next few weeks. So while Scott is scrolling to looking for more Apple eBay listings,
they're still listed. This is crazy.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, while he's looking, this has been a crazy week and funny week as well. That is the tech news for this week for Friday, August 21st, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. Show notes from this week's episode can be found at gncweekly.com. Also, be sure to check out the latest tech news and commentary from geeknewscentral.com, and be sure to tune in Mondays and Thursday evenings at geeknewscentral.com/live for the Geek News Central podcast. And then be sure to watch and tune in at gncweekly.com/live Friday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to like and subscribe to the GNC WIR channel on YouTube, or be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app. And be sure to tune in with Scott and Abram Pilch on F5 Refreshing Technology Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, not 8, 9 p.m. Eastern at plugitslive.com/join us. And the podcast can also be found on your favorite podcast app. Do you have comments on this week's episode? I'd love to hear from them. Head on over to gncweekly.com. Love to hear about what we thought about Fortnite. Head on over to GNC.
And whether or not you'd pay $10,000 for an iPhone 8 with Fortnite on it.
Exactly. Exactly. I should have posted up on the Facebook, on the Facebook page for that. Head on over to gncweekly.com/connect and connect via email, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm on a Twitter. I'm at Twitter. I'm at Kirk Corliss. I'd love to hear your thoughts about spending that kind of money or finding out why, or post some tweets about T-Mobile. I'm at Kirk Corliss. Scott is on Twitter at TTTMABO. Till the next episode of GNC Week in Review. So long.
Ciao.